Ever get that feeling, like when you're having a conversation and it's like you're speaking two different languages?
Oh, absolutely. Like talking about freedom or truth, and it's like, are we even on the same planet?
Exactly. And it's not just frustrating. It's like, what does this even mean for democracy? And you know who's really diving deep into this? Carol Off in her book, At a Loss for Words.
And she would know, right? I mean, she's a journalist, spent years hosting As It Happens, talking to people from all walks of life.
Right. She's on the front lines of communication. And in her book, she hones in on these words, 6 of them, actually. Freedom, democracy, truth.
Whoa, already some loaded ones there.
Right. And then she adds woke, choice, and taxes.
Oh boy, now it's getting interesting. So what's she saying about them?
So she's saying these words, they're being strategically manipulated. They're losing their shared meaning.
It's like they're being held hostage, right? And if we can't agree on what these words mean, how can we even begin to have, a functioning democracy?
Exactly. And it's not just coming from one side of the political spectrum either. Off calls out both the left and the right.
Which is interesting because you usually see these kinds of arguments coming from one side or the other. So how does that play out, in the reactions to the book?
You can see it in the Goodreads reviews, for example. Some readers, they were like, yeah, she's right. The right's totally twisting freedom to mean whatever they want, like not wearing masks.
And others were like, hold on, she's not giving enough credit to concerns about free speech and censorship, especially online.
Yeah, so even the book itself becomes part of this whole conversation about how we use and interpret language, which is fascinating. But before we get too lost in the weeds, I wanted to shift gears a bit and talk about how someone took Off's ideas and turned them into music.
Oh, now that's interesting. Music. Tell me more.
So there's this song, Majority Mirage, and it was directly inspired by Off's book.
A Majority Mirage. Okay, I'm intrigued. What's that all about?
Well, it's like, imagine you're scrolling through the news, late at night, bombarded with all this information. And you start to feel like maybe your views aren't the majority, even if they are.
It's that feeling of, is everyone else seeing what I'm seeing? Am I missing something?
Yes. And the song opens with these lyrics. It's like, doom scrolling at 2 a.m., another sleepless night, climate graphs and COVID stats, nothing feels right, and it just gets deeper from there.
Wow, and I bet those lyrics really resonate with people, especially now, right?
Totally. And later in the song, there's this line about how, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's about how democracy might not even be mathematically possible, truly representative.
Mathematically impossible. And how do they get there?
Well, the song references something called Arrow's impossibility theorem, and it's heady stuff. But think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to decide, where to go for dinner with friends.
Okay, I'm hungry, so yeah, I'm with you.
So say there are 5 of you, and you've got 5 different cuisines on the table: Italian, Mexican, Indian, Thai. Or just staying in for pizza.
Oh man, now you're just making me hungry. But yeah, I see where you're going with this.
Right. Good luck finding one option that makes everyone happy.
Yeah.
You might get a majority for, I don't know, Mexican, let's say. But that doesn't mean the people who wanted Thai are thrilled. Right. Their voices kind of get lost in the mix.
And that's Arrow's theorem in action.
Exactly. It's like baked into the very idea of voting with more than 2 options is this impossibility of making everyone happy. And that can be pretty disheartening, right? Kind of like that Majority Mirage feeling.
It is. It makes you wonder if there's even a point.
Right. But before we go full dystopian, let's talk about something that might seem, a little sci-fi.
Sci-fi. Okay, now you've got my attention. What are we talking about?
Artificial intelligence.
Wait, is AI going to, fix democracy for us? I've seen those movies.
Well, I don't know about fixing democracy entirely, but there's this really interesting article from GovTech about how researchers, they're using AI chatbots to tackle misinformation.
Interesting. But isn't that a bit trying to put out a fire with gasoline?
I get what you mean, but they're not just throwing facts at people, which we know doesn't usually work.
If anything, it makes people double down.
Yeah, the whole backfire effect thing.
Yeah.
So instead of direct debunking, they're using the AI to do something called Socratic questioning.
Okay, so what's that in plain English?
So imagine, instead of arguing, you just start asking questions. But not leading questions, open-ended ones, to get the other person thinking about, why they believe what they believe.
I see, guiding them to their own conclusions almost.
Right, what evidence would convince you that this isn't true? Or help me understand why you find that so convincing. And apparently, it's working. Yeah, the article said people, after talking to this AI, they actually showed, a decrease in how strongly they believed in certain conspiracy theories.
Wow, that's wild. So you're telling me an AI can change someone's mind easier than, like, another person can?
It seems that way,
Yeah.
which is kind of mind-blowing, right? And it makes you wonder, like, what if we could use this kind of technology to have more, I don't know, productive conversations in general?
It'd be like having a digital mediator, making sure everyone's staying, like, honest and actually listening.
Exactly. Okay, so we talked about Off's warnings about language, that feeling of majority mirage, and now even AI trying to, I don't know, step in and help us talk to each other.
A lot to unpack there.
It really is.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, I'm curious, have you ever, been in that situation where you're like, wait, we're using the same word, but it's like we're speaking different languages?
All the time. It's like, how do we even begin to understand each other if we can't even agree on, like, the basic building blocks of communication,
Exactly. And I think that's what's so powerful about Off's book and even that Majority Mirage song. It's like, yeah, the state of things can feel kind of, well, overwhelming, but it all comes back to us. How we use language, how we listen, how we choose to engage or not with those different perspectives.
Absolutely. And, it's funny because even with that AI research, it's like, it's still pointing back to those core human skills, listening, empathy, critical thinking.
Yeah, like if an AI could be programmed to do it, why not us, right?
Yeah.
Right. And maybe even better because we have that, like, human connection, that shared understanding that goes beyond just the words themselves.
I love that. So as we wrap up here, any final thoughts for our listeners? What can they take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is simple, but not always easy. Be curious. Be open to hearing different perspectives, even if, and maybe especially if, they make you uncomfortable.
I love that. Curiosity over judgment.
Exactly, because you never know, that conversation, that moment of genuine connection, it might just change everything.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you all with one final thought. If an AI can challenge deeply held beliefs just by asking the right questions, imagine what we as human beings can accomplish when we approach each other with that same spirit of openness and curiosity. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Until next time, keep those conversations going, and remember, words have power. Choose yours wisely.
I'm doom scrolling at 2 a.m. Another sleepless night. Climate graphs and COVID stats, nothing feels right. I've got a degree that says I should understand, but these numbers, these votes, they're slipping through my hand.
They say majority rules, but what if the majority's wrong? Denying a virus, ignoring the heat for too long. First past the post, right choice, approval, voting too. When facts become opinions, what the hell are we supposed to do?
I'm caught in the majority mirage, where truth gets lost in the barrage of tweets and posts and alternative facts, while the world outside slowly cracks.
Arrow proved it with math, democracy's not bulletproof. When 3 or more choices appear, rationality goes poof. But it's not just elections that leave me in a daze. It's how we're choosing to ignore the world ablaze.
Polarized camps melting, but half say it's all fine. Hospitals overflowing while others stand in line to protest their freedom, to spread a disease. God, when did science become just another expertise? I'm caught in the majority mirage, where truth gets lost in the barrage of tweets and posts and alternative facts, while the world outside slowly cracks. I'm caught in the majority mirage, where truth gets lost in the barrage of tweets and posts and our doubtful neglect, and build a future we don't regret.
But giving up's not an option, though the game seems rigged.
Cause if we check out now, the deniers have won.
So I'll keep on voting, keep sharing what's true.
In this messed up system, it's all we can do.
Maybe perfect democracy's a pipe dream, but so is a world where we can't redeem our mistakes, our denials, our heads in the sand. It's time we face reality and take a stand.
We're caught in the majority mirage, but together we can break the barrage of misinformation and willful neglect, and build a future we don't regret. So I'll keep on fighting for truth to prevail in this grand experiment that's forever on sale. Cause at 34 I've still got skin in the game, in silence in the face of denial, that's the real shame.